Yeah, this new business hub's going to be me.
Cameras rolling for some a lot of this stuff that we're doing.
Yeah.
Use Māori phrases, use Māori phrases, and then go back to English, like for important phrases or something was said. Or,
yeah. I always do that anyway. Yeah, whenever I do the tour, I would always say like the Māori terminology first and then translate it afterwards for them. So we're going to visit the original foreshore of Auckland City, talk a little bit about tribal warfare there, and then on our walk over to the Fort Street alleyway. The reason why we're going to go there is because they have pictures in that alleyway of what the colonial Auckland looked like, and like it's the early pictures of it. And it's that's pretty cool. Could do a zoom into the image one and then go back in time. Transportation transition. So with just through here I used to talk about the 1918 influenza pandemic, but like honestly the tour is too big, so I'll just condense it to the Māori ones. We're going to go across there to Fort Street, and then talk about our first story.
Cool. So did you pick them up? How did it all work when you did those tours?
Oh fuck, that's beautiful. Damn, that's cool as. That's not the name of their bar, is it? Nah. Holy hell, that's freaking cool. I've never seen that before. I'll come back and take some pictures later for my art thing. No, so I used to work for the old owner, and then I bought the company of him. Because I had big vision for what I wanted the ghost tours to be, which was like I wanted to go through a cemetery. I wanted to talk about Māori history, and so in order for me to do that, the only way I could get away with making that happen was to take the company off him. So he wasn't interested. He was like, Ferry Park here. That's like pretty bad, eh? Have you guys heard of the apartment for suicide? A Mexican lady like jumped off that building in 2006, April 26th, 2006, jumped off the top of that building with her newborn baby, landed on the roof of that building across from us. Yeah, fitting name, Gore Street. You can't make that shit up, eh? That's comedy gold. But yeah, she actually landed on the top of that building, and up until a little while ago, they still had the concrete on the corner of the building that had been taken out on the roof there, from where her body had hit the corner, and like she landed on the just bits of her on the corner there in that alleyway. It's pretty brutal. No, well, like her husband was here for research. He was a scientist. They had come here from Mexico. He was a scientist that was researching seismic activity in Christchurch, and so the saying is that she suffered from postnatal depression after visiting New Zealand. She was away from her home, her family. There was very few people that she could talk to or speak to that even spoke the same language as her. So with that language barrier and her husband being more and more absent due to his job, people say that she had a mental breaking point and basically took her and her child's life. You can imagine though, being stuck in a small hotel room day after day, newborn baby, it's your first child, and then not even having your partner around. It would have been pretty harrowing experience. Now we're just coming up to the corner here. This is the corner of Fort Street and Gore Street. A lot different to how it used to look in colonial times. Not really much for aesthetics, but if you look across the road at number 53 Fort Street, the Walker and Wayland building over there, that's actually the original foreshore of Auckland City. Everything behind us is all reclaimed land, so this is all built on top of the ocean. So the original Māori village for Ngāti Whātua was located there, and we're just going to head around the corner now to the Fort Lane alleyway, where you'll be able to see a picture of what this area looked like, and I'll tell you guys a little bit about what Māori life was like back then. So with an average life expectancy of 24 years old, Māori lived a very fast and brutal life through various forms of identification. They would use tāmoko to identify the various deeds that they had done throughout their life. It was kind of like a painting of the tale of their story. But also among the darker things that the Māori practiced, there was tāmoko, toimoko, upoko kohua, and kai tangata. So tāmoko was the art of tattooing that Māori used, tattooing their faces and buttocks and legs. It's probably one of the most famous representations of Māori people today. Toimoko is lesser known, or moko mokai they call it. This was the practice of head shrinking or head preservation. And then there was kai tangata, or cannibalism, and that was the art of eating people. Well, I'm not so sure if it was an art, but I'm sure there was an art to it.
But there's an art to cooking, surely there was an art to...
Yeah. Well, we're actually going to visit one of the places where they would perform these rituals in Auckland City.
Sort of like hip hop had the four, the four pillars.
Yeah.
This is sort of similar.
Yeah.
Like breakdancing is tagging, and street dance, whatever the four pillars.
Mixing. So we'll just head across here to the Fort Lane alleyway, and you'll actually be able to see some of the.
So that's what they were notably for of the arts.
Yeah, so those were their forms of art. Whakairo, tukutuku, and but yeah, the moko mokai, or head shrinking, that was a form of art in Māori culture. Same with.
Yeah, go into detail that for us. Like what are some of the things that make it artistic?
We'll go into detail with that, and when we go to the location where they actually made them. So we're going to go there and talk about it. But over here, you'll see some depictions of early Auckland City and a map of what it looked like. So over here is the location of that Māori village. We were just...
Hold on, so all of that is this concrete,
yeah,
all this stuff?
This is that Wayland and Walker Wayland building I pointed at earlier, and everything else is all built on top of reclaimed land. So all of Auckland City, this is the original Fort Street, foreshore.
What do you mean built onto reclaimed land?
Huh?
What does that mean by built onto reclaimed land?
So they fill it in with more sand, and make the sand burrow higher and higher until eventually they're pushing the water where the water basically they just build the sand up so that the tide goes out further and further and further. And but it's not without its own mistakes as well. If you look down this alleyway, there's a few things that you'll notice that are a little bit different to the rest of the city. Down on this half of Auckland City, you will not find any building that is from the time period between 1769 and 1830 onwards, because there was a great fire in Auckland City which burnt a lot of it away.
Yeah. So what were all these made of?
Well, the main building material that we had in New Zealand at the time was wood. We had large forestry, so all of the early buildings were made out of wood. It was a lot more expensive for stone. We didn't have a foundry in New Zealand until the 1870s. What that means is we couldn't smelt steel here. We didn't have mines. We were digging out stone. So all the stone and iron was actually transported here from England, and it was mostly used for the cemetery surroundings. So you'd have blank headstones coming here from England to be chiseled once they got here for people to use them as their gravestones. So this is early Auckland City. You got a really nice picture here of like 1843, before the treaty was signed, of what early settler life would have looked like, and what the street layout was for it as well. Now, from here we're going to head.
Pause and we'll just grab some more footage of those, just get some shots of those. Now, how does all this relate to ghost stories? Is that just it was once this? Now
This
it's gone?
alleyway was one of the stories. It's supposed to be the most haunted like alleyway in Auckland City. It's the oldest, and because of all the people that resided in this area. So back in those days, when you were traveling here from another country, you'd come here, you'd like start a business, and you would live in that business. You'd live in your shop until such a time you had made enough money to, like, you know, buy your own house. But the people lived inside of the shops that were set up here. So when the Great Fire of Auckland City happened and wiped them all out, this alleyway was home to around 148 you know, European families, American families and things like that at the time, who all died in that fire.
Yeah.
So it's believed that the alleyway itself is haunted, in that they reside in two buildings. There's the Angus Steakhouse and the Roxy building across from it. If you'll notice, the architecture of those two buildings is dramatically different in comparison to the rest of the alleyway. That's because they're made out of Huntly brick. Have you guys heard of the Huntly mines? That place is like cursed. The Huntly brick is supposed to be cursed as well. It's a stone that was mined from Huntly. You'll see it all through New Zealand, that orangey yellowy brick. That's actually a fireproof brick that was designed for all of our, it was designed for the fireplaces and homes, and also as a more expensive but fireproof building material. But as it was still relatively new in the 1870s, it was quite expensive to utilize to build with. But this alleyway is you know, through just that one fire has seen the deaths of 148 people die in a matter of minutes. What was worse is it's believed that the Great Fire of Auckland City, the only reason why it spread as far as it did, which it consumed Queen Street, went up. You'll not see any more of the like wooden buildings from that era in this section of the city. So many fatalities from that fire. Also, just from the 1918 influenza pandemic, this is one of the main alleyways that they would cart the dead bodies for the open air mortuaries. So when the 1918 influenza pandemic hit, the hospital shut down. There was too much dead bodies coming in for them to deal with it. So what they did was they set up 3 open air mortuaries in Auckland City. One was Victoria Park, one was Myers Park, and the other one was Albert Park. So those 3 parks in Auckland City were used to house the dead of over 10,800 bodies at one point in time. And this alleyway being one of the main thoroughfares for those, including this area here up to Shortland Street, which was originally called Short Street, and it was named that because it was just a short dirt track that ran from Queen Street to Albert Park and was solely built to transport those dead bodies. So pretty crazy stuff. Dead people everywhere. No, well, just like laying out in the parks. No sheets. We're just talking processing of the dead bodies. They were piling in by the thousands after the First World War. So you can imagine going overseas fighting in the First World War, coming back getting the flu and dying. So it's a pretty harrowing experience, really. So we're going to head from here to the ANZ Bank, which is the location of the first prison here, and also the location of our last public hanging here in Auckland City, where 3 Māori men were hung for war crimes of cannibalism. So we're going to shoot over there now. Yeah, the city's
built on like the structure, same as like what Dubai and that.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
wow.
They just fill it up with sand and like to push the ocean out.
Yeah.
All right. What's so weird that they have tools to do that? Eh?
Yeah. Yeah. So from here we're going to head over to Queen Street to the ANZ Bank, where the location of our first prison. That place is freaking haunted, bro. Wait till you hear the stuff about that place. Yeah, yeah. Man, I should have brought my bag. I'm so thirsty now. I I forgot how freaking much talking dries you out, eh?
Yeah.
What's going to buzz you guys out too about the Simon Street Cemetery is did you know that one of the American founding fathers is buried there?
Oh, wow.
And is the person who's responsible for signatures. Have you heard the saying? Just place your John Hancock down here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the John Hancock is buried there. He's one of the American founding fathers. Yeah, he was a good friend of William Hobson. William Hobson's got a really cool story. Who is William Hobson? Are you kidding me?
Do you know who William Hobson is?
Is this got to do with Hobson Street?
Yep.
Damn, you got one ahead of me.
He was the first governor of New Zealand. He's buried in Simon Street Cemetery.
Oh, yeah.
He's like not only buried there, he's got like the craziest memorial. That place is just oozing with ghost stories, man. It's so good.
Yeah.
So I tell a story up there. I usually go up the alleyway and then go around here, down here.
You got any uncles or aunties with full face muffle?
Yeah.
Film
Yeah.
stuff with them?
Nah, seriously. I was actually going to talk to you about it.
Yeah, I want to get some more of them just on screen, you know?
Yeah, my mum's brother, my uncle. He's pretty much my dad. He's he's got a full face tamako, and it's a proper one. He got it chiseled on.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that'd be cool.
There's an old Māori tamako artist called not Tawera Nico, bloody hell. Bloody all these Māori names sounded like nah. So this
Making this whole thing up, is
yeah, no, we're just improv here, guys. Laurie Nichols. So I'm going to give the three main Māori stories from the city tour, and so that we can shoot up to the cemetery tour, capture some stuff there, and then so keep it all in time, because I don't want us to go like over too much. We'll end up, because like honestly we would be stuck in town all day, and then and traffic's quite a bitch afterwards, eh? So we're just going to cross over here and then shoot up towards the ANZ Bank. It's weird too, just like people just walking around, you know, like Auckland City, like 100 years ago, the difference of this place would have been just 3 years after the First World War.
So it would have just been all those wooden, like...
Yeah,
what was it? Was it?
They were like small wooden, if you go up to like Ponsonby, some of the houses up there and places like that, it would have looked like that. Sort of, you know, those old, like Howick Historical Village, or that Motat Village. Yeah, shops weren't very big. They weren't like huge like this.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm saving up for my dream car at the moment, and I'm going to get a personalised plate. ATABEI. Just an Atabey. Ooh, I can't wait.
What's your dream car?
Mazda RX-7 Series 6. Yeah. But like me and my mates, we all got like real Māori, like sort of personalised plates. So I want to get Atabey. My mate's got a really nice Honda Accord VTEC, and his plate's VTEC. So we're just coming up to it now, on the corner of Queen Street there. And then the last little spot that we'll stop at is Albert Park, funnily enough, because it was one of the opening mortuaries, and two, it actually used to be one of the main pā for Ngāti Whātua, Te Horotiu Pā. Yeah, so also part of my tree hut building business, I want to like think Ewoks Village. Yeah, that's it. Just think Ewoks Village. Some crazy tree hut village in the Red Hills or something. So we're just going to go across there to the corner. So from here, you can still see the structure of it. Now, the only difference is they've placed tiles on it, and that is to blend the architecture with the building that was placed on top of it. But this corner here, from the last ANZ sign all the way around to the corner there, that one whole building, you see the bottom level of it, it was like a castle type Gothic style structure, which was actually the location of our first prison here in Auckland City. Now, during the construction of the ANZ prison, during the construction of the Auckland City prison, there were 38 fatalities that occurred during it being built. And back then, the criminals that were tasked with building the building, so what would happen is you'd get shipped here from England or Australia. When you arrived to New Zealand, they placed you in holding cells, which were usually at the cellars of bars or pubs throughout the city. Little cage doors and stuff that they would have, you know, that guy looks artistic. They would, it's so good. He took me, oh, he just like put me so off. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that much energy. So, yeah. So this here, all of the pillars inside the building too are all original prison architecture structure, bro. And coming along here, just out the front in this area here was where all the public hangings took place. So this is where the spot to be every week, where they were hanging criminals. The hangings would take place from 1769 up until 1946. So that's a long time for people to ingest that sort of, you know, desensitization to death. Watching people getting hung on a regular basis.
So
sort
people would come and watch?
They were public hangings, yes. So, you know, not just that, but it was a big deal. People would, you know, you'd get your family up and get them ready to go see the hangings. You would pack picnics for the day. You would, like, watch. This was pretty much the...
This was like going to go see Stan Walker or something?
Or like a real form of reality television. They didn't have television back then or radio technology, so this was a form of storytelling. They could judge the person based on their crimes, you know, and the crowd there'd be an uproar of happiness when these people would be hung.
Yeah.
Now,
how did they tell the audience? How did they speak to everyone?
Quite candidly. So they would read out the crimes of the person. There'd be, you know, there'd be a dude, hear ye, today punished for the crimes of theft or murder or rape. Stand before you, blah blah, sentenced to be hung until death, like read out like America's Next Top Hangman or something, you know. But there was the person who was the most probably the biggest spectacle of the public hangings back then was the hangman himself. The executioner was like, he was like a rock star. When he would step out onto that stage, people would cheer and chant, you know, like at the end of the day, he was the one who would ultimately be taking the lives of these people, which was sad after 1946, where the public hangings ended, but then it was abolished altogether in 1965. So up until 1965, it was still legal in New Zealand to hang people. It wasn't practiced as much, but they still hung people. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the criminals that died during the construction of this building, in order to save tax dollars, they would actually bury the criminals in the foundations of the building. So 18 criminals now lay as part of the foundation of what is now the ANZ Bank, and is said to haunt the bank to this day. Now they have used ground penetrating radar to see where the bodies are. So we actually know where all of the bodies are. I don't know if we're allowed to go into the bank and film though, but maybe we can go in there another day and just like secret squirrel it off our phone or something. But no, basically this is where the public hangings would take place. 18 prisoners were buried in the foundations of the building, but the last people to be hung here in 1946 was probably the most harrowing story of them all. I didn't tell everybody this story because there's sensitivity to topics about World War II, about the Nazis, about Adolf Hitler and things like that. But during the Second World War, this group of Māori battalion soldiers came across a village in Nazi Germany. When they came across this village, they witnessed atrocities that no human should have to witness. Part of inside their minds cracked and broke a bit. They reverted back to old warrior tales of their grandfathers telling them about upoko kohua, about consuming humans, kai tangata, that sort of thing. And during the Second World War, a small group of this Māori battalion army sect broke off from the rest of their group. Coming across this village, they saw atrocities of nature, of women, and just torture to human beings. So there were the bodies of women that had been raped and killed laying on the sides of the road. It was a very dark experience to be a part of. These Māori soldiers snapped, and as a form of respect, as a form of sending these people off correctly, they chose to enact the ritual of upoko kohua. Basically, this was the ritual of you consuming your enemies and then turning that enemy of yours into your own human feces. You're basically turning your enemy into your shit was the highest form of disrespect we could give to our enemies. And for those crimes of upoko kohua or cannibalism, kai tangata, those Māori, when returned to New Zealand after much trial and tribulation, were hung here in 1946 as the last men and last people to be publicly hung on Queen Street. That date was April 15th, 1946. So nowadays we see a bustling metropolis of people walking around as if nobody ever noticed that sort of thing would happen here. But today, just in the ANZ Bank, it's funny what sort of dark, horrific histories you can find within just our everyday, society. So it's pretty weird. So we're going to head from here, man, up to the Albert Park, formerly known as Te Horotiu Pā, where the Māori villagers that stayed there used to perform rituals of kai tangata and also shrink heads, and I'll teach you guys about how they shrunk the heads back then as well. So we'll go head up there now. Sweet, all good?
Good. Took a few Māori terms in there.
Yeah.
Sayings, phrases.
Mm-hmm.
People used to love it on this tour.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was pretty cool. I'm going to relaunch it, but I just think that my men's health business is more important for now. In terms of like.
That's your calling right now.
Yeah, and that, well, you know, tourism is not the greatest.
Yeah, you're sort of doing an entertainment project really as a tourism.
Yeah.
It's kind of entertainment.
Yeah, storytelling.
I mean,
It is sharing it is sharing culture, sharing history, and like we did go into a lot greater depth, but like I said, it's just the time restriction of literally taking you guys for the whole entire tour. It would just be too much, man. And especially if we need to get more like camera stuff. So this is our last one for the city tour. The rest was all like haunted hotel, fucking the Northerner Club, and things like that. But
you
this.
could just stand somewhere stationary and just sort of tell us the story, and then we could animate it or something like that.
Yeah, cool as.
So we get the stories in the can.
There's one tree in there. They call it like the tree of the dead. I think we should really capture that because it goes to show you the scope of how widespread cannibalism was within the Māori culture, but not just that. It's a testament to how I guess how passionate they were about their rituals. You guys have probably seen it. Have you seen the hollow tree in Pass Park? I mean, the hollow tree in Albert Park. It's like hollowed out. You can go inside it.
Okay, maybe I do.
Just at the top here.